Welcome to another episode of the Tower 26B Racer Podcast. I'm Jim Litsky here once again with Coach Jerry Rodriguez. Coach, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm raring to go. You know, it's like I shot out of a cannon this morning, and let's do this.
It's been a while.
It's going to be a fun episode, and I have a lot of content to get to here. I got all these notes over here, so I'm not sure if you want to speak about anything swimming related today, but I'm going to talk about Game of Thrones and Avengers Endgame. So if you guys haven't seen it, no, I'm kidding. That's not what we're going to speak about today. We're going to talk. We have a lot of in-depth information. Jerry, you were saying this might be our most listened to podcast after we're finished.
It could be. I mean, we're going to analyze Lucy Charles's swim stroke,
which is huge because we've only done 2 shows this year, and we have over 94,000 downloads, 120,000 Facebook views, and only 2 shows. So I think we can officially be called the voices of triathlon. In a sport that's lacking, I'm sorry, I knew you were going to say something, but in a sport that's lacking a little bit of personality, we may be that personality, Jerry. Sorry to break this to you.
Well, I don't have any. I just let you just carry the show.
We call you White Toast.
Right?
Okay. On the pool deck, we call you White Toast. I'm the butter.
That's fine.
And when we butter that toast, it's a delicious meal.
Okay.
Right? Should we keep moving?
Well, we should keep moving, but I think we should recognize Cam Worth because Cam has actually helped those downloads. I mean, he's at his computer clicking over and over and over and over.
We know that. Yeah, he's posted YouTube videos himself clicking, just download.
He is the most listened to episode, and that was just 2 episodes ago. He's risen, what was he, number 60 or something like that?
Thank you to Cam and thank you to his mom, because I'm sure she's doing the same thing, listening to her little boy. But hey, the Philippines made it into the top 10. They are now number 10. So congratulations, all you Filipinos out there listening out in your motherland. But also getting close is Indonesia at number 11.
Yes.
Which is a very blossoming triathlon market over there. They've announced some races recently, and it's exciting to have these new listeners. But some new countries that have popped up over the last couple months are Bosnia and Herzegovina.
Yeah, how do you say that?
Herzegovina, I think I got it right. But what about Azerbaijan? Cape Verde, Sierra Leone. Oh, you can say it. Cape Verde, Sierra Leone, Northern Marianas Islands. We're getting listeners all over the place.
Yeah, it's interesting, huh? And they're just a handful of downloads, but perhaps it's somebody that has visited there and listened to our podcast there. Who knows? But the point is they popped up on the new list.
It's the locals. Hey, we went to a wedding. We went to one of our swimmers' weddings this past weekend. It was great. You and your beautiful wife, Elizabeth, who definitely charms you up a little bit because, you know, not good enough looking here. Hot Jerry. But no, you guys, we went to a wedding. We went to one of our swimmers' wedding, George. It was amazing, amazing time out there. Beautiful scenery and great setting. But hey, I had all these people come up and say, hey, Jim, good to see you. Good to see you. I didn't know one person there. And all these people knew me. I had no idea who they were. What I figured out was everyone was dressed up in suits and ties. I'm used to seeing them in their Speedos and their swimsuits. So they had their makeup on and their hair done. So I think we need to make a mandate that when a swimmer gets married and we're invited to the wedding, you have to wear your suit, your swimming suit, not your dress suit. So I recognize these people because it's all about me, no matter whose wedding it is.
Let's just say congratulations to George and Maggie getting married rather than the
I'll wear the flame suit if that's what it means. So let's move on. Jerry, what did we talk about last show?
So we went through wetsuits, right? And we dedicated the entire episode to wetsuits, fit, feel, form, all the variables to do with wetsuits, and talked about how to test them and see what's best for you, which suit will work best for you. So the entire episode was dedicated to wetsuits. And in fact, there was a question that came in that episode. Cindy Kramer. I think she did it live, as a matter of fact. And she asked about thermal wetsuits, I think, and I didn't know the answer to it, and I wasn't aware that there is a thermal suit, but it appears now that there are several manufacturers that are making some thicker wetsuits for colder water. And in this case, Cindy even supplied me with the data. Roka has a wetsuit, and they call it the thermal suit, and it's part of their Maverick Pro series, and it's thicker. It's 4 millimeters in certain portions of it, and I believe the legal, the biggest thickness you can go to is 5 millimeters. So they're within the guidelines for triathlon swimming. But so Roka has one, and I'm sure there are 2 or 3 other manufacturers.
Yeah, it makes sense with all the cold water swims. If they can go up to 5, they may as well go up to 5. It might be a little restrictive in some areas, but if it makes you warmer, I think I might have to do that too, because I get the shivers really easy. What are we going to talk about this show, Jer?
Well, Lucy Charles. We've got, thank you to Triathlon Taryn, who's one of our subscribers in our program. Triathlon Taryn has went and met with Lucy and her husband Reese and has some footage of them swimming. We tried to get them on the podcast, but I didn't hear back. So we're just going to use the footage that Triathlon Terran supplied us, and we're going to analyze both Lucy and Reese's swim strokes. And very, very interesting to see the differences between the two.
Well, this will be an interesting episode because we're trying some new technology that we haven't used before.
Yes.
So let's see what happens. We just might have to roll with it. And if it means I have to sit up here and do improv for 20 minutes, so be it. I'll do it. I'll take one for the team and do it. So do we want to get into that right away?
Sure. Let's do that. Yeah.
I think that's what everybody's waiting for. They want to see how Lucy swims versus Reese. And
well, why don't we do a little foundation first, because some of our audience may not know Lucy Charles, which is probably hard to believe. But Lucy's popped onto the triathlon scene in the last few years like a rocket ship out of nowhere and has risen to the top very quickly. Was second at Ironman Kona last year, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. His swim was not sure we'll go over
broke the course record, 48 minutes and change. What was it, 48:14 or something like that on her swim. So an incredibly fast swim. And by the way, that's Kona, no wetsuit. So that is a legitimate unaided swim. So I want to give a little bit of background on Lucy's athletic history. So Lucy started as a swimmer, swam most of her life as a kid growing up, very good age group swimmer. And Christophe should be putting up there for us to see some of Lucy and Reese's her husband, swim times. And if you look on the columns, the way we set these up for you, you'll see her name, Lucy Charles, and then there's something called SCM and LCM. And SCM stands for short course meters, and that's when competitions are done in a 25-meter pool, and then LCM means long course meters when it's done in a 50-meter pool, which is the Olympic-sized pool. So those are, I searched out on British Triathlon's top performances. And these are Lucy's swim times for a 50 free, 100 free, 200 free, 400, 800, and 1500. So for all the geeks out there who like swimming times, you get a sense of how fast Lucy was. So if you take a look at long course, you'll realize she went 58 seconds for 100 meters, which is quite fast. And Reese, her husband, is 53.5 for long course meters. So he's quite a bit faster than her, a lot bigger guy, a lot more speed and power. And as they went up in distance, she's 203, he's 155, so he's quite a bit faster. And then as the distance went up again to 400, you'll notice the gap, the delta started narrowing. She's 415, he's 409. The 800 time, I think this is an off time for him. I would actually throw this out. He probably didn't swim that event very often. But if you go to the mile, you'll realize that she's a little bit faster than him in the mile, in the 1500. So overall, these are super fast, very competitive swim times at the pointy end of the swim arena. Now, many folks think Lucy Charles is this supremely insane pool swimmer. She is, but recognize the best swimmers in the world are still quite a bit faster than this. However, what we're going to see coming up are the swim mechanics of Lucy, and when she goes to open water, how her mechanics benefit her in open water versus how Reese's swim mechanics may actually hurt him in open water. So that's going to be the setup for what we're going to talk about. In Lucy's career, she went on and did some open water swimming for the UK. Won, I believe, what was it? In the 16 to 18 age group, she won a 2K race in 23:39, which is very fast. Did that in 2011. And in fact, she swam the London, I think it was 2011 Olympic course, the 10K course, in trying to qualify for the London 10K open water swim for England. Didn't qualify for the Olympics, and in fact, in that event, she was 16th. And Eva Fabian, Jack, hello to Jack, who is one of our coaches. Jack's daughter, Eva, who we coached, and I helped Jack a bit when he was coaching her. Eva was second in that race. So you've met Eva. She's come and swim with us a few times.
Girl can swim.
So there's a little background on her pool ability and open water ability, which is obviously quite high. And then Christophe has for us on his website, his OBS Tri website, you'll notice what we did was we put in both of their names, and you can see here a breakdown of Lucy Charles versus Reese and the races that they've done. And if you look at the beginning of the career down to the bottom of the page, you'll notice that Reese, when they first started, Reese was actually a little bit faster than Lucy in open water. And as time went on, and they both obviously started getting fitter, her swim stroke was a little bit more adapted for open water, and you'll notice that she started getting pretty close to him and then got faster than him in open water, and now is at least the same as him, if not consistently faster than him in most of the races, which is sort of hard to believe because when you see them swim, you'll see the massive power difference between the two and his very polished stroke. I mean, he is a beautiful looking swimmer, which we'll take a look at in a moment. And then we'll compare it to Lucy and go into the details of why that happens.
All right, well, let's get into some video, and this will be interesting because not only are you breaking down the swim stroke, but you're causing a rift in their relationship. So...
Well, you know, it's interesting.
Yeah.
Without knowing the two of them and reading up a bit about it, I mean, Reese himself is an incredible athlete. I mean, the guy has done some insane performances in triathlon, and he's a very, very good swimmer. Lucy's just a better open water swimmer than he is.
Yeah, so let's just hope their relationship survives this breakdown.
Yeah, so let's take a look here. Here's some footage that Taryn supplied to us, and Taryn did a good job here. We have about a minute of footage of various different angles underwater. We'll see some above water footage. We'll get some footage of both of them. Here they are. So he's done a good job at supplying all different angles, which is nice to see. And then I'll go break this down for you guys in bits and pieces in a moment.
I just don't want Taryn to get used to getting complimented on this show. Usually that's not true. Taryn getting complimented is very rare.
So as you can tell, beautiful photography here. Really nice. And there's Reese over there on the outside. You could just tell nice long swim strokes. There he is. Look at that. Just gorgeous swimming. I mean, beautiful swimming. He slows it down a little bit to take a look at her because she was a little behind him. And there she is coming into the camera there.
What a sweetheart. He waited for her.
Oh, yeah.
So sweet. Men, take note.
Yep. So beautiful swimming here. So now let's take this and we're going to break this up. Nice overhead view here, looking straight down. And let's go through and look for some of the good things that Lucy does. So we're going to teach some little swim mechanics here. Always, this is beautiful right here. Elbow bent, pointed to the side of the pool. Fingertips pointed straight down to the bottom of the pool. Beautiful, beautiful swim mechanics. Move on a little bit forward here again. There's that elbow, the left one, right? You can see that there, nice and high and bent, gorgeous. Eyes looking straight down to the bottom of the pool. All good. Good head position. If you'll notice, head, hips, feet at the surface. All good. I mean, terrific mechanics that we could tell from this angle. Here's a nice little side view. And here again, 3 touch points at the water surface. Head, hips, feet, all there at the surface. Body line, nice and beautiful. I mean, this is really good. These are the things we talk about. Tautness, good alignment. I mean, all really terrific. And we'll notice the same here with Reese. Now, he's more of a power athlete, and power athletes tend not to bend their elbows as more athletes like Lucy does. So you'll see his arm does not bend quite as much on the water, but he still has a bend. Elbow still pointing out to the side. So all good on his part. Just massive strength. All good here. One of the things that she does really well, you'll notice there are no gaps between the bicep and the head. Nice long lean body. Same on the other side. As the hand enters right there into the water, there's minimal space between the head and the bicep. So what that does for us creates a nice long lean body line. So all just good alignment. So this is the foundation. This is the setup that makes her a really good swimmer to start with. And you'll notice with both of these guys, actually, we can tell from this angle here, they both have very, very flexible ankles. Toes are pointed. I mean, it's just beautiful. Everything's narrow, swum in a very, very narrow channel. Both of these guys. I mean, it's really outstanding. So that's all the good stuff. Nothing here to really observe as well. Let's go to the underwater, interesting, not underwater, side view. Here's the master. Now let's take a look at Reese. One of the things we'll notice with Reese, and I'm going to do this in a little bit of slow motion here for us, is once he starts coming in the other direction, here he is. I mean, this is pool polished swimming. I mean, this is just gorgeous, gorgeous, beautiful swimming. So let's just roll and see him here at half speed.
And that's pretty much a catch-up stroke right there.
And that's what we're going to talk about.
Touch those hands.
That's what we're going to talk about. I'm glad you picked up on that. So it's beautiful. And let's talk about the good things, the super nice things that he does here. Let's just pause him. You know, we can pause right here. It's a perfect time to do it. Head, hips, feet at the surface. So real good body position. Everything lined up really well. Beautiful. But you picked up on the key element here with Reese, and it's right here. At this moment, right there as he enters the water, you'll notice, hands going in, and where's the other hand? It's right there also, just started creating some, going into the setup phase, commonly known as the catch in swimming. So right now, this is called front quadrant swimming. Everything's occurring in the top portion of the body. At this moment, what's generating propulsion?
Arms.
The only thing at this moment will be his kick, because the arms are sitting there in the front doing nothing. Okay, so the only thing that's giving him any propulsion at this instant would be a kick. And generally, triathletes are not known for being great kickers. So this pool polish stroke, which is beautiful, works super well in the pool, but it's not as functional in a dynamic environment such as open water.
I was just making sure you knew the answer to that one, because I knew that was the kick.
Well, you got it.
Yeah.
You nailed it down. So let's look here again. There it is. Let's back up. On the other side, it's pretty much the same. Hand coming in. See if we can nail that just about right. One hand's there, the other one's right there on the water. Both at the front, only thing getting any sort of propulsion would be from the legs. This works well for super elite swimmers who have a great kick, okay? And who have massive power with each arm stroke, generating lots of watts. But this doesn't carry across well to open water, typically when it's very dynamic, and it definitely doesn't work for someone who doesn't have an elite background. So here's a message, guys. If you're being told to do catch-up style swimming and front quadrant swimming, and you're not swimming under 53 minutes or 52 minutes of in that range for an Ironman, it's the wrong swim mechanics being taught to you from this coach's perspective. So as beautiful as this is, and one of the things, by the way, with this type of swim stroke also, is it keeps cadence rates really low. And putting a watch to Reese's cadence here, I picked up his cadence at 60 to 62 strokes a minute. Now, I also recognize that he is not swimming fast here, and he would probably be at least 10% higher if he were going a little quicker. But it's in the low 60s. And what we'll notice is once we get to Lucy, Lucy is in the upper 80s to 90 strokes a minute. But look at this. This is really pretty swimming. I mean, clean, sleek, just gorgeous. I mean, this is textbook swimming, okay, for a swimming pool. But in triathlon, we perform in open water, right? So this stroke, by the way, Reese, will work really well in a nice, flat, placid lake.
Yeah.
You can get away with this here.
Maybe Lake Placid.
Maybe Lake Placid, my man. But once we get into a super dynamic environment, things are going to change. So here's Lucy, and we'll notice that Lucy actually has she lifts her head quite a bit when she turns to breathe. She's a little bit of a head lifter, and I would suspect that that head position has developed once she started getting into open water and triathlon more. She's so used to lifting and sighting.
Interesting.
Yeah. So let's go back and take a little quick little look here. All right, so here's beautiful, again, nice, really nice long line. I mean, this is beautiful swimming in a very, very narrow funnel, being obviously hydrodynamic, and you'll notice the same with her. Excuse me, wrong tool there. Head, hips, feet, all at the surface. 3 touch points, so our body's nice and taut and staying super, super long. So beautiful swimming. Now, remember, Reese is in the low 60s to to mid-60s stroke rate, and Lucy is closer to 90, and we're going to see that when we go to the next video, which is going to come up in just a moment. So this is the pool-polished version of what beautiful swimming is. When you look at super elite swimmers, Michael Phelps, the names that you would know, they have that front quadrant type of swimming where one hand catches up to the other. And that's how swimming's been taught over the last 25 years or so. And that's fine for racing in the pool, but it's not as effective in open water. And what I would suggest for Reese to do is to keep that stroke. That's a very good stroke, but start developing a secondary stroke. A secondary stroke would become like another tool for you. Learn to have a stroke where you get into the setup portion of your stroke sooner, and that would be stroke number 2 for you. So you'd have stroke 1 when you're in calmer waters, more flat, placid, pool-like conditions, and you'd have stroke number 2, which is more similar to what Lucy has for open water. And I would guarantee that your performance in open water would get better. Now, it's also going to mean your cadence rate is going to have to increase quite a bit, and that's going to take some training because you'll need some adaptation time. Mm-hmm. So let's go take a look at the next video that we have of Lucy, which is going to be in open water. So let's run this at regular speed so we can get a sense of, this is actually her Kona swim last year. And now it's shot from pretty far away, so the footage is going to be a little grainy. But here she is. I think this is from last year's Kona race. Why did that pop up?
We give all the news here.
I know.
That is some turnover. What would you say? What's that cadence?
It's 88 strokes a minute 88. When I checked it. Yep. 88 to 90 strokes a minute.
All alone.
So, the end of it. So let's go take a look now at what she does really well when it comes to sighting. And we'll notice a few things here. Now, the left hand is exiting the water. So at the back of the stroke, left arm is getting ready to come out. And as the left arm's coming out, apologize, that's the right, let's back up. Left arm's coming out, head's lifting, head's lifting, head's lifting, head's lifting, head's lifting. And the highest portion of the head is right about when the left hand gets ready to enter the water right there. Hand enters the water, the head turns, and she will start capturing her breath right now to the side. You see the mouth opening up, and there's the breath capture. The breath is not captured at the front. That's just the visual, the sighting portion. Hand enters, breath is captured to the side in a normal rhythmic pattern, then head goes back down. And Lucy will notice, and we'll count him, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and here comes the sight again. She sights every 6th stroke. There it is. Heads up at the highest portion, mouth clears. There's the sight, picks up on the buoy in front. Head turns, breath, inhale, back down. And if we looked at this, and let's put it through in a little bit of slow motion, and we'll count again, you can see it's every 6 strokes for her. That's her sighting frequency, every 6. Most folks go through a race sighting every 20, and we teach sighting at a minimum, don't go above 10. Mm-hmm. We put 10 as our top end, and we talk about 6 also. So here it is, sighting every 6 stroke. And this is a very fluid, comfortable way of sighting where it's called the lift, look, and breathe style. Lift, look, and breathe. So let's give this to you again one more time at regular speed. There it is, quickly done. Lift, look, and breathe. And this is at 88 to 90 strokes a minute. That is her cadence rate. Lift, look, and breathe. Capture the breath right to the side. So it's that simple. So overall, very different swim mechanics, as you can tell. And one's prettier than the other, if you get right down to it. Reese is very pool polished, beautiful looking, elegant. Lucy's more bouncy, more choppy, more up and down, much, much higher cadence. Both very effective styles. One works better in the pool, one works better in open water. So what's best to have? Well, both tools. If you can have both, you acquire both skills. So for Reese, I would start incorporating a little bit more of that Lucy style into your training to be able to help you in open water more. Lucy, there's nothing to do for her. In fact, I would tend to guess that over the years, Lucy's open water skills have developed further because of the amount of racing that she's done, triathlon racing, relative, because even though she was doing open water racing in 2010, 2011, the open water athletes don't race as much as triathletes do. So they actually don't have as much skill set.
So she's had a lot of practice. So it's really informative. It's really in-depth review, and we look forward to hearing you guys comments on that. So tweet us at tower_26 or email us contact@tower26.com with your comments or questions on that, and we'll get into it next show. Sound good? So thanks a lot for that, Chair. Thanks for Christophe for putting all that together. It all work out all right? We gotta get a mic on that guy. We need a little French. You speak French or Spanish? What is it? Espanol or Francais? So hey, let's get on to the workout of the episode. Remember, you can find the workout at coaching.tower26.com, and you can sign up for the subscription program there, like so many other athletes have done, and the gains that they are making are incredible. So go coaching.tower26.com to see the workout of the episode. Jared, what do we got today?
So I decided to throw in a B workout. And I realized we've actually never done that. We normally give out foundation sessions.
So the way we work it, we have 2 foundation sessions every week, 2 A sessions, a B session, and then a recovery C session. So we're going to give a B session today.
Yeah.
All right.
I thought let's show what we do in a sort of a secondary workout. And the reason we set it up this way is if an athlete only has 2 opportunities to swim per week, they should do the 2 A sessions, obviously. If you have 3 opportunities, you do the 2 A's and the B. And of course, if you have a chance to swim a 4th, you throw in the recovery session. And that would be for a non-pro athlete. Pros are a little bit different. More training because you're a professional. So this is a B workout. And we start off with stretch cords, which is something we always do before workout typically. It can be done after workout or at other times. We're up to 3 sets of 100. Of course, if you're new and you haven't done this before, it should only be 3 sets of 30 to start off. Then we had 5 or 6 minutes of easy swimming. We had a few segments of warm-up here. And by the way, this warm-up, which and this workout's made available on our website, right?
Yep, coaching.tower26.com.
Yeah. This warm-up is a warm-up we've been using for the last couple of weeks. It's been fairly static because we want to keep warm-ups consistent before we go into racing. So the body gets adapted to a particular warm-up, and we're getting ready to redo our 1K and 100 time trials, which are coming this weekend. So the warm-up that's here is something we've been doing for now. This is the 2nd week of it. So after we did the 5 or 6 minutes of easy swimming, we went into 4 100s with fins, snorkel optional. And 100 number 1 was all kicking. 100 numbers 2 and 3 were 50 kick, 50 swim. And 100 number 4 was all swimming. Took a 20-second break, and we did it twice through for a total of 8. And then we went into a series of 100s after that. Here we have 8 100s laid out for you, but 8 100s was for our level 1 athletes, and that's about 7% of our audience. Level 2 did 7 100s. That's, I think we're 25% of our audience. And then levels 3 and 4, which are the majority of our subscribers and our pool members, we're doing either 6 or 5 100s. So it gets scaled according to ability levels. These 100s, we took about 15 seconds rest, or you can set a fixed interval on them, and we progressed effort gently in each one until they got to 1K pace, the pace that you can sustain for a kilometer if you had no rest. And we just graduated effort until they got to that pace for the last 1 or 2 100s. After that, we wrapped up the warm-up with a handful of 50s. And those 50s ranged again from 8, 7, 6, or 5 50s, depending on the levels, 10 to 15 seconds rest. And we did these, Jim, as 25 fast, as you can remember, 25 easy.
Yep.
So front half fast, second half easy. And the 25 fast, we had our athletes wear their tempo trainers, set at the higher cadence so we can learn to develop higher cadence rates, especially when we're going fast. By the way, for Reese, this would be a good tool to use for him to try and start changing his stroke cadence. Then we went into our main set, and our main set was sort of wrapped. We had a pulling segment to it, and then a swimming segment, and then a pulling segment. I call it the wrap, where the meat's in the middle. So we had about an 8-minute pull or so. It was a 600 ranging down to a 400 for the various levels with all the pulling gear on, ankle strap, buoy, and snorkel. And we had the buoy as an empty buoy because we use a particular buoy that you can add water to, but we didn't for this particular workout. So it's 8 minutes of pulling. approximately at about 70 to 75% effort, took the gear off, and then we went in, Jim, into a series, the real meat of the session, just 50s. And the reason we did 50s in this workout was because we had some hard sessions earlier in the week, our 2A sessions, so I wanted some intensity still, so we reduced the duration, or the distance in this case, to smaller bites so we could still get reasonable intensity in. So the 50s, there are 30 50s for level 1 athletes, and then 25 50s, and then 20 50s accordingly. And these were done by groups of 5. And each set of 5 went as the following. Numbers 1, 2, and 3 at 85% of maximum heart rate. Number 4 was fast, and number 5 was a recovery. So let's call that a cycle, and then you repeated that 6 times through if you're a level 1 athlete, 5 times through for levels 2 and 3, and 4 times through for level 4. So 5 50s, 6 cycles through, 5 cycles through, or 4 cycles through. And then we wrapped up, coming back to the pulling again, the gear went back on, heart rate goes down to 60%, snorkel on, ankle strap on, buoy on, and we work on good swim mechanics, good body tautness, perfect alignment.
Yeah, you think 30 50s, holy cow, that's going to take forever and it's going to be so boring. But the way it's broken up, it goes by pretty quick. You roll through those sets of 5.
And there are 3 gears, right? You've got a big aerobic gear, then you got a power gear, that's the every 4th one, then you have an easy recovery, that's 5, and you just go through the cycle.
Yeah, and you called this a wrap. That's very low carb of you. I would have called it a sandwich.
Well,
I eat sandwiches.
It's another
You're
way.
looking out for that physique, eating wraps. All right, thanks a lot for that. Remember, go to coaching@tower26.com for that workout and to sign up for the subscription program. Let's get to the questions of the episode. We have plenty of them. Remember, go to contact@tower26.com to ask your question. First one's from Brian Snell. Hey, Jerry, I'm new to triathlon, February 2018. I couldn't swim a lap during my first training session, and then could not swim without a pole buoy while training for my first race, which was Lake Placid 70.3 in September. My swim time was 36:42, which was 50th out of 183 in my age group, and my overall age group place was 86th. I then started the Tower 26 online program in October. At 70.3 Virginia last weekend, May 5th, 2019, I swam 31:42. I was 6th out of 93 in my age group, 15th out of 93 age group overall. The swim was somewhat tide aided, so the age group place comparison improvement is more noteworthy than the time comparison improvement. When I first started Tower 26, I thought that I would stick with it until I could get outside for open water swimming, and then suspend the membership until I had to go back in the pool for fall. My mindset has since changed completely, and I fully intend to continue with the program indefinitely on a year-round basis. Thanks to you and your staff, especially Jim, for a great program. I would not have made this kind of improvement without it.
Brian, thanks for your note. And of course, you could tell that Jim added that.
Staff.
Yeah.
Am I just staff? That's all I am, a staff.
So, Brian, thanks and congrats. This is a big improvement. And I really like what you did here, because you did a relative performance. And that's how we need to measure open water times. We can look and say, hey, man, I made a 5-minute improvement, but you can have course differences in courses. One course could be longer or shorter, choppier or less dynamic, whatever it may be. But when you do comparisons like you did, such as 50th out of 183, and in this case, 15 out of 93, you get a sense. And it's also helpful to do comparisons based on relative to other competitors. So very, very well done. Congratulations. Thanks for being on our program.
Stick with it, Brian. Love it. Next question is from Eric Cochran. Hey, coaches, I'm recovering from a slap tear. You ever heard of a slap tear?
Yeah, let's talk about that. Well,
I tear up when Megan slaps me, but I don't know what a slap tear is. I had a small tear in my labrum that resulted in my shoulder popping out of place at the beginning of my catch phase of my stroke. I've avoided surgery by aggressive physical therapy. I've strengthened the joint and surrounding muscles and have been able to swim pain-free for the first time in a year. Regarding build rate, I was swimming around 20,000 yards per week 2 years ago. He put all these other numbers in there of how many each session was, but I'm up to 3,500 to 4,000 this week. As I build up the yards, should I increase yards per swim or swims per week? Should I drop... Get into this. Should I drop the larger sets and go with the shorter sets, or add more swims per week?
So, Eric, thanks for the question. Basically, what he's asking is, should I increase frequency, or should I keep volume in the sessions?
Gotcha.
What should I do to get back into this, given that he laid off for some time? So a slap tear is without getting too technical, it's a shoulder injury. In fact, I had a slap tear, had surgery for it, got it repaired. Or in his case, he went through physical therapy. So you're back. Interesting. one of the things you talked about, it was popping at the beginning catch phase of your stroke. I'm glad you put that in there because it's very possible you're one of those folks that have been taught at the beginning to try to get your elbow popped up really, really high at the beginning. That is not necessary in this coach's opinion, especially for triathlon swimming. And you do not need to pop your elbow up super high. You can let your arm drop down and the elbow get elevated later in the stroke. This is one of the problems with the early vertical forearm early catch that can lead to these types of injuries. So,
well, if you go back and look at the videos we just watched, neither of them had extremely early vertical forearms.
He certainly didn't. She did a little bit more. She got into her propulsive phase very quickly, but this is something to consider, Eric, for the future, not to pop that elbow up too soon. But in your case, specific question, pain is always your indicator as to what to do. And it's better usually to come back with frequency, okay? So more times per week at a lower volume, and then you can layer in volume later.
Right. Gives them time to recover in between each, put some ice on it, take some Advil, and get at the next one. Next one's from Bob Olette from Hollis, New Hampshire. Hey, I regularly listen to your podcast and truly enjoy both content and the manner in which they're delivered. Keep up the good work, and I hope to see more podcasts soon. You recommend using stretch cords.
There's a hint for us.
Yeah, we'll get it. Every day, I'm saying. I want to get them out every day. So that's something to live up to. You recommend using stretch cords prior to the swim workout. I was wondering if this is done to warm up or for additional strength and range of motion. I asked because I've been doing them at night, and I'd like to know if it defeats the purpose. Thank you.
Hey, Bob, thanks for your question. The answer is both. You can do them before the workout. You can do them after the workout. You can do them at nighttime. The value to doing it before the workout is it creates some adaptation from the perspective of when you go to event day, it's another tool to use for warm-up, and it's best if you've been doing it in practice at workouts prior to your workout.
There you go. Ted Westerhade from Tampa, Florida. Hey, you guys are awesome. Love your podcast and how you contribute to our sport. When I started tries a few years ago, I couldn't swim more than 25 yards at a time. I side-stroked and backstroked most of my first sprint triathlon in 2014. So the swim, of course, is a work in progress. After binge listening to all your podcasts and swimming 5 to 6 times a week, about 12 to 15,000 per week, my swim is finally coming along to 1:15 and 15:57 for 101K.
It's pretty good.
That's really good.
Yeah.
A friend and I are interested in your program. She's less familiar with your program and thought it would help to do a sample workout. We can hear the workouts you talk about in the podcast, but I can't find the sample online. Is there an audio file and a sample workout on the site, or could you send one for us to try? How important are the drills? Maybe this is something I could adjust a little with my coach. I've now tried the snorkel about 25 times. I worked up to 50 yards, but I'm so slow and I find it so difficult to breathe that I know it's not helping. How important is this to the program? Thanks again, and I hope to hear more of you guys.
All right, Ted, thanks for the question. And let me give a little foundation here on Ted. Ted, thanks to Christoph's obstry.com. I go in, and anytime we get a question, I type in the person's name, and Christoph's site gives anybody, but in this case, gives me a report on your history of racing, at least for half Ironman and Ironman racing. Ted is a 4:38, 70.3 athlete.
He can move.
And at Augusta, he had a 29:31 swim.
He's got some skill. He's got 1:15 for 100.
Yeah, so big improvements in the sport. So what I did was I also went and typed your name into our coaching.tower26.com to see if you had entered in your email address to be able to view the workouts, and it's not there. So that's why you can't see the workouts, because you actually have to go to our website where the free ones are available from every single podcast that you can actually see the workout and take it to the pool and execute it. So that's coaching.tower26.com. Specifically, and there's a portion of the audio file that's available free, not the entire audio file. And then there's some videos within the workouts, a couple of which are available for you to see. Some are muted because being a non-paid subscriber. The specific question about drills, we don't do many of them, but when we do them, they're important to do because we've put the ones that are important to do. So you would want to do that. And regarding the snorkel, right, I think 25 times, it makes me wonder if you're using the right snorkel, because everybody has difficulty with a snorkel when they first begin. Mm-hmm. It takes about 10 sessions or so, 2 or 3 weeks, and then everyone's adapted. So I'm wondering the type of snorkel that you use. You want a front mounted snorkel.
Yeah, you got to turn that schnoz off, Teddy.
Yeah.
The schnoz of the West can do it. You can do it, believe me. But 50 times a lot. So turn the schnoz off and just use that mouth to breathe. That's what I'm thinking. Next question is from good old Alla Kavatova. Hey, Jerry and Jim. She's great, isn't she? She's amazing. Yeah. Hey, Jerry, Jim, thank you again and again for creating such a great swimming program. Instead of long swims in the pool where counting my meters drove me crazy, I have a very well structured workout and don't even notice how the time passes. I've recently won a place that escape from Alcatraz race. The race starts from a jump off of a boat. Maybe for most this isn't a problem, but for me it's a big challenge because I never jumped into water. I could have stood by the edge of the trampoline and not dared jump simply out of fear. I must and definitely will overcome this fear. Do you have technical recommendations as to how I should jump into the water? Most likely head first, then what? Any secrets?
All right, Alla, thanks for the question. And to some, this may seem innocuous or perhaps even a little bit silly. Well, should I jump into the water? Well, for those who don't know, it's almost a ship rather than a boat because you're fairly elevated.
She did say ship. I improvised boat. You do know I improvised.
Yes, you sure did. Yeah, you're all about improv. Yeah. It's a high fall down to the water level. So I do not advise diving for most folks who don't have diving skills. And in fact, if you were to dive and you haven't practiced diving, likely you're going to rip your goggles off. They're going to come off. So I'd suggest jumping in and even on the jump, either hold your goggles when you're going in or pull them around your neck so they don't fall off, because that happens many times when folks dive who are not used to diving or even just jumping in.
Yeah, so, I wouldn't say even dive. It's a good jump. I mean, it's probably 10 feet. That would be a pretty good dive.
Right. So don't dive. Just jump in and make sure your goggles are in your hand or around your neck, or you're holding them if they're on your head because you don't want them to come off.
We can put a video
That's simple.
The cannonball technique. Cannonball technique. Oh, that's what I say. Jed Van... Man, I'm really messing up the names today, Jed.
Well, this is a hard one.
Van Keckhorn from Richmond, Virginia. Van Keckhorn. Guys, just want to let you know how happy I've been with the online plan. I am no swimmer, but felt I had to do something to keep getting from getting slower as I got older. I joined Tower 26 online program in August 2018. This is my first off season with you guys. I went to Oceanside 70.3 in April for fun because of the ocean swim. In 2018, I did Ironman Texas 70.3 almost a year to the date prior. In that swim, I went 38 minutes plus change on the swim. At Oceanside, which I think was much more interesting getting out of the surf, I went 34.06. I'm so happy with the improvement. I can't wait for the rest of the season when my bike run legs catch up. Thanks again.
All right, Jed, thanks for the question. I want to be fully transparent here and be accurate and at the same time not burst your improvement bubble. But when we compare times, we need to make sure we're comparing apples to apples. So what I did was I went and looked at the Oceanside swim results, and I went and looked on your result in particular. I compared it to the fastest athlete there, which was Eric Lagerstrom, who you know.
Yep.
And then I went and looked at the other race that you did, Texas, on your time, and compared it to the fastest athlete there, which again happened to be Eric. So now we have good data points. The course at Oceanside was either slightly short or the course at Texas was slightly long because Eric was approximately 8%, 7 to 8% slower at Texas than he was at Oceanside. And he's a very good open water swimmer. So, and the professional athletes typically don't have very much delta, at least at the elite end. And guys who have good swim backgrounds like Eric, they don't have much delta in their performance. So it tells me that we have a approximate 7% or 8% delta. So what you can do is take your 38-minute time, subtract 7 or 8%, and that would be closer to your realistic time if you didn't make any improvement. So you've really made a couple of minutes of an improvement, minute and a half or two, but not quite the full 4 minutes. So not bursting the bubble, but I want it to be realistic for you. For your next performance, but congrats on it and look forward to continuing to see improvements.
Just take the compliment. Let's say, you know what, Jed, great work.
But our job is, we got to educate the audience.
Very realist. I'm just one that says, Jed, amazing work, and it's all because of me. All right, he doesn't want to take the. Whatever. Let's move on. Luciano Sousa writes, hey, Jerry and Jim, I've been with a groin injury for a while. I can't bike or run and can barely swim. I've been training for triathlon the last couple of years and have space to improve my swim skills. I've been following all of your advice for a while, but based on my injury, I'm allowed to swim with a strap on my ankles and pole buoy. Most of them are not 100% reliable to be done in that situation. So he's not allowed to swim with the ankle strap and a pull buoy, or he's only allowed to
and
swim.
I couldn't quite understand how that was written.
Let's get to let's see.
Let's get to the question.
See if we can figure it out. My question is, what would be ideal situation like this with this kind of training makes sense? So he can only swim with the pull buoy and the ankle strap.
That's what it seems like.
What would be the ideal situation like this? Which kind of training would make sense? I've been doing a couple of endurance swims, 200, 300, 400 meter intervals with 25 and 50 meter sprint intervals, swimming 1,300 to 1,800 meters per session, always with the pole buoy. Usually I can do 200 meter interval and 130, 135 per 100 meters. I know I can do better.
All right. Luciano, thanks for the question. Because I couldn't quite understand it, I'm going to give some feedback with perhaps misunderstanding a little bit. But there are a few things that stood out here that need attention. If you have a groin injury, swimming actually with an ankle strap would be helpful, because that's going to force your legs together and you don't have to use your adductor muscles or your inner thigh muscles to hold your legs together. So having a pull buoy on, if that's what you're advised to do, it's good to swim with the pull buoy and the ankle strap, because with a pull buoy, you obviously have to use your adductors to hold the pull buoy in place. In this case, with the ankle strap, it's going to aid with that. So recommendation, pull buoy and ankle strap. Here's the next thing that stood out. You're only swimming 13 to 1,800 meters. That's not real swimming, not if you want improvements. So you need to increase the volume. The examples that you gave here of 200 meters, 300s, 400s, 50s, and so on, that's all fine, because that's sprinklings of various distances. We want to make sure we have sprinklings of various efforts, but you need to increase the duration.
And he can do the subscription plan with that. He can just make some adjustments to the kick set and just pull the whole thing. So
sure.
Go sign up for that subscription program, Luciano. Hey, Leslie Mellett writes, I've listened to your podcast number 61 on how Tower 26 uses percentage effort in training so many times. So I could really get to understand the feel of percentage effort, and I practiced it in training. I got pretty good at recognizing my different efforts. I have a question about drafting during the swim. I raced 70.3 Ironman 70.3 Puerto Rico, and at one point I jumped on some feet. When I did that, I lost my feel and sense of my effort because drafting made it feel so much easier. How do you handle this during the race? Also, I met Taryn. What a terrific person. Wait. We already gave Taryn one compliment in this session. Well, I don't think we need another one. My husband Oliver is doing your program. His improvement is incredible. I got to up my game. The swim is where I always beat him.
All right, Leslie, thanks for your question, and hello to Oliver. So I know Oliver, I follow, remember when he joined and so on. Here's what's interesting. This is what I loved about what Leslie didn't write. She didn't write that she won 70.3 Puerto Rico. Very, very humble. She did not put that in, but she was the winner of the 65 to 69 age group in Puerto Rico. So congratulations. Normally places in the top 3 in most of her races. So I love the humility. Regarding drafting, if we don't practice drafting, we don't know what that feeling is like. If we did a lot of practicing of it, then we know, and you'd be able to tell if the pace that you're drafting at is something that is within your capability realm. Meaning, if you're behind somebody that's super, super fast and you're barely able to hang on, but because of the draft, you're at the upper end of your aerobic capacity, then you know, all right, I better stay in that draft. If you're behind somebody that's a little bit or quite a bit slower, but you're still getting a draft benefit, but you haven't done enough to really know how much you're losing, let me back up. You're benefiting from the draft, but you're losing overall because you could be swimming faster on somebody else's draft. So we need to have some familiarity with drafting off of people of different speeds. Once you get that under your belt, then you'll be able to make the decision as to, are these the right feet to be on? If you really feel like you're going pretty slowly, then get around those feet, find some faster ones.
Yeah, you could try to get around. If you don't go anywhere, get back on them.
Yep.
Right? Why not?
You know what? I like how you sort of concisely answered that. I wish I was as eloquent.
Get right to it. Hey, eloquent. I take after you, brother, in that sense. Susan Roberts. Susan, she's another great one. She writes, hey, thanks for informative, informational podcasts on wetsuits.
Should we just give a little background on Susan here quickly? Why don't you do that? We love Susan because Susan, I have to tease you here. Susan was a regular listener, and then wrote in to say she can't listen anymore because she's retired and doesn't have any time.
Doesn't have time to listen to the podcast because she's retired. Hey, you know what? My mom's the same way. A girl's moving all over the place all the time. So I feel for you, Susan. I get it now. But you're right. You have a long paragraph, so you have a little time to write this. Thanks for the very informative podcasts on wetsuits. The most info I've encountered. It's great. I love the blind testing idea. Could you research the question that was asked regarding warmer thermal suits, which we gave at the beginning of the episode?
Yep.
There are at least 4 brands out now, and I'd love some info from you all. I'm nearly always cold and often wear a rash guard under my wetsuit. I take Chrissy Wellington's advice of using earplugs for warmth. This works. And of course, 2 caps and a full thermal cap. It's the feet that become a real problem if the booties are not allowed. Any suggestions for that? Cover them in Vaseline? What to do? What to do so cramps don't occur? I also get cramps in long swims in my calves, and I haven't been able to avoid them despite all the good advice.
All right, Susan, thanks for the question. And we picked on you a little bit there earlier. Cold. So yes. Now that we know there are several manufacturers that are making thicker suits, so that's one solution. Wearing the rash guard is fine. Double capping is fine. All the suggestions that you put out here earlier. There are some that are no-nos. Vaseline, that's an absolute no-no. In fact, that's a complete disaster, because what happens many times is you put Vaseline on. Number one, who puts it on for you? And if you do yourself, then it's on your hands, then it gets on your goggles, and so on. So we get the idea of Vaseline is a no-no. Do you have a different experience with Vaseline?
No comment, because I'm going to totally disagree, because I use Vaseline on all the cold swims. I just keep a towel close by.
So
I feel like it works. Peter Cordova did it last week. He said, "You're a genius. It worked." So
where did you use it?
I use it on top of my feet.
On the top of your feet?
Yeah.
Okay.
I put it on top of my feet, then I use a towel and wipe my. But the thing is, when I'm swimming, it doesn't make a difference if I see or not, because I'm so slow. Who cares if I see or not?
So now,
if I go left or right, whatever.
Off topic for a second. Vaseline was used, by the way, back when, probably still is, as a trick where people would put it on their feet. So when your competitors touched your feet, it would get on their hands.
Well,
right?
What I find, it repels the water. You get the water, it repels it. Well, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna do this at the beach one day, and you're gonna see if it works.
All right. So Jim's for Vaseline. I'm not for Vaseline. So go ahead and test it. I mean, and come up with your own solution.
This might be the most debate we've ever had on this show.
It's all good.
Yeah.
It's good. Because it's not binary. I mean, different opinions here. Here's the issue I have. Well, here are a couple of recommendations. One, do warmer races. If this is really a problem, if you're in the sport to enjoy it and make it part of your lifestyle, there are enough races where the water temperatures are warmer. So you can pick warmer water races. Number 2, here's my bigger issue. I'm going to get off my soapbox, but I'm going to spend 30 seconds on it. USA Triathlon needs to have water temperature rules, not guidelines, rules, in place where when the water temperature is a certain number or lower, there is no swim.
Because there's no current rule.
There's no rule. There are guidelines, and guidelines to me are meaningless.
Gotcha. USA Triathlon, listen to that. The master has spoken. Our last question from Bill Dusting of San Diego, one of the first triathletes.
One of the originals.
One of the original and a hero.
Yes.
If you look up Bill Dusting, he's a hero. Gentlemen, regarding wetsuits, in 1987, I did my first multi-sport swim and exited the water in a popsicle state. Wetsuits were hard to find. A diver told me about a lady who made custom-made wetsuits. She measured me up, and we figured 3 millimeter with 1 millimeter arms. I picked it up the following week for $99. It had a rough fabric finish. It fit like a glove. 7 years later, I swam a mile in 1856.
Fast.
In that same race, it all started. I've been the same height and weight since 1978. That wetsuit lasted 15 years. Does anyone still do custom measurements with wetsuits?
Hey, Bill, thanks for the question. Appreciate you writing in, a hero down in your town of San Diego. I think the easiest thing to do is just simply do a Google search and see if there's somebody in your local area that does this. I did a Google search and asked a friend, and there's one place called Janine's Custom Wetsuit or Southern California Custom Wetsuits. So there's one lead for you, but they were closer up in our neck of the woods. You might want to find something in your neck of the woods, but I'm sure there are folks who are doing this.
Yeah, somebody's got to be doing it.
And at the right price, why not?
Yeah. Christoph's got a 3D printer over here. We could probably print something out for you, Billy. But hey, thanks a lot for that. Appreciate you guys all writing in. Remember, contact@tower26.com. Jerry, we're going to talk about next show.
I don't want to commit because we have committed to doing shows more frequently, and today is May the 9th, and this is only our third show of the year.
Well, I had a request from a big time celebrity who wants to come on the show. I'm not sure if we have enough room for him though. We might, I don't know, you know?
Who is that?
Let's keep it a mystery. Let's keep it a surprise.
All right.
Let's just say I got the best excuse as to why an athlete couldn't do a workout yesterday morning. I got an email at 5:30 a.m. that said, I can't do the workout because I'm going to be on the Howard Stern show this morning. I said, you know what? I've seen a lot of excuses. I've never heard that excuse before. I'm sick. My wife's out of town. I got to go on vacation. I got to go on the Howard Stern show. So maybe we'll get him on. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, I don't travel in those circles. So
yeah, right. You're going to go over here and sign autographs at the mall right after this. So who knows? We'll keep you guys on edge who's going to be on the show or what we're going to talk about. We'll send it out there via tweet, or Christoph will come up with some way to communicate.
Well, we have promised to talk about our video analysis program, which we've had some difficulty in getting out because of some starts and stops, but that's on the agenda. It's one of the items. But
just teasing.
We also need to, by the way, it's the beginning of the racing season for the most part. We need to get some open water footage. We already did a little bit here with Lucy Charles today, but that's something to talk about because we promised a show on open water skills, on racing skills, and those types of things. So that's what's to come in the future.
On that same note, it is open water season. When is Tower 26 starting their open water workouts?
We're ready. I mean, it's temps have climbed up above 60, and they've held there for at least the last 10 days. And I usually like to wait for 2 weeks, so we're approaching. I'd say in a week or two.
Gotcha. Andrew Talansky's all over me about it. So all you guys who are listening, all you watching at home, we're starting about a week or two. You're always welcome to join us Wednesday morning, 6 a.m. And if you're not there during the week, come join us at a pool swim. Go to tower26.com for more information on that. Any last words from you, Jer?
Thank you. As always, appreciate everything you do.
Back at you. Christoph, anything left from you? We are good to go. Way to make it all work today. All you guys, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for telling your friends. Remember, share the show and go to coaching.tower26 to subscribe to our online program and have the same great results as everybody else. For Christoph Balestra, Jerry Rodriguez, this is Jim Lubinsky. You guys have a great day. The Tower 26 Be Race Ready podcast.